I have to check this with myself all the dang time because those messages are so pervasive and I can just feel them like seeping into my headspace. And I have to literally sit myself down and be like, okay, this is all right. You are not selfish. You are not self-absorbed. Like, it's okay to do that. But I find I literally have to like say these words over myself because I get caught in that loop so easily, right? You are not selfish. You're not wrong to want to prioritize your desires.
And this is why affirmations are so important.
I know. I'm so bad at those. I need to get better.
Because we have to rewire those messages that we were raised with. And that's that's one of the ways you do it. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls, the podcast where we celebrate the journey of women over 40 who are ready to reclaim their lives, passions, and purpose. I'm Lisa, and we're talking about a transformative time many women experience at this stage in life, the midlife reclamation.
And I am Karen, the second half of Drinks with the Girls. You know, research shows that around 54% of women report feeling a sense of freedom and renewal during midlife. And today we'll explore why this is such a pivotal time in our lives. We'll share our own experiences and equip you with the tools you need to really thrive in this exciting chapter. But before we dive in, Lisa, what are you drinking?
So, funny story. Y'all remember I talked about this before about going to my husband's favorite band up in Portland and in a general admission audience. So much fun. Lovely. Didn't really drink like at all, but just, hey, staying up past 9:00 out in public. So I'm revising a little bit tonight. So I have some herbal detox tea and more water. Yeah, that's about my speed for the evening. How about you, my dear?
So I am drinking something new. This is new to me. It's called Zevia, and it's a 0-calorie soda, and it's strawberry flavor. And I bought it for my partner because he loves all the things sweet, and I don't. But I cracked this open, and it's really delicious.
Okay, my daughter is obsessed with those and trying to convince me to let her pack one a day for school, which of course I'm not going to do. But yeah, it's soda, but it's definitely not like bad for you soda. So
no, it's not like Coke. What's her favorite flavor?
Gosh, she's a big root beer fan, and I think she's gotten the cola as well. But honestly, and we'll get into this on another episode, but with soda, the artificial sweeteners are just as bad, if not worse. So I think that the fact that they're using the stevia, right, and it's the good kind of stevia, again, story for another episode, like that's awesome because, yeah, the sweeteners and like Coke Zero and Diet Coke, again, full disclosure, which I will drink when I need a treat, no bueno. So that's awesome.
I always struggle with that. Do I do the real sugar or do I do the fake sugar? But I don't know. The fake sugar tastes better to me. Anywho.
And stay on too much information.
So before we really get going, the reason we wanted to do this particular episode is to give you, our listeners, hope. We want you to know there is a lot that goes along with midlife. And we want you to know we see you in the shitstorm and we want to help lead you out. We want to help you see how incredibly liberating and empowering this time in life can be in so many ways. And we want women to hear other women, us, talking about aging as a fabulous thing. It's not something to hide from or be ashamed of. We don't have to become invisible as we age. And our reclamation is part of this fabulosity. So let's talk about what midlife reclamation really means. To me, it's a time to reassess and to reclaim, to take back who we are, what we want, and where we're going. Oftentimes, women, we get into our 40s, our 50s, and we realize that we've been on autopilot. We've been on the hamster wheel and we are ready to get off. We start to recognize also our mortality and really want to start focusing on making the most out of life. So, Lisa, what does midlife reclamation mean to you?
Well, I've noticed that in the past few years, I've really had to fight tooth and nail to carve a space out for myself. I feel like sometimes I'm the only thing keeping the ship from going down, and I shove the things that I want for myself to dead last on the universe's priority list. I really don't like that as women we all seem to have to do that, but it just seems like it's inevitable. So, reclaiming my life has looked like all sorts of things for me. So, self-care, entrepreneurship, and a whole lot of alligator in the moat like boundaries. I'm going to guess I'm not alone.
Oh my gosh, you are definitely not alone. In fact, it's incredibly common. Studies from the American Psychological Association highlight that during this period in life, women often face challenges like career or health changes, empty nesting for those of us with kids, hormonal changes, shifts in relationships, and sometimes just an overall hunger for something more. This shitstorm I referred to earlier, I like to call it midlife fuckery. But I digress. These normal midlife transitions can make the reclamation for women so much more challenging, but also more powerful. It's a time filled with so much potential for personal growth. So, what do you think, Lisa, keeps women from really embracing this midlife reclamation?
We've talked about this before, but I mean, change is daunting, right? It just is. It's one of those the devil you know versus the devil you don't know kind of things. And I think that if women are feeling like they need a big change, it's super scary to get to this stage of life and kind of sleepwalking potentially, right? And wake up and realize that they aren't happy. So it's a struggle between settling and desiring something more. And it can be scary to shake things up in life. I also think that society has really conditioned women to believe that they are the chaos tamers and it's up to them to stand in that abyss when push comes to shove and things are falling apart, and we enable it, right? And it's super scary not to buy into that. It's like, yeah, like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Like which stress bomb are you going to put on yourself?
Yeah, I love that term, the chaos tamers, because that's what it feels like sometimes. And you're right, we totally enable it. And, we feel like we're doing something wrong if we were to take a pause and say, I'm going to check out for a second. Can someone else handle that?
Legit.
Women don't feel like they have permission to check out. And to me, this is the number one reason women do not go all in on the midlife reclamation, because they think they're doing something wrong if they focus on their own needs, or also they sometimes don't feel like deep down like they deserve it. They're waiting for someone to give them permission to prioritize themselves. And guess what, sisters? No one is coming to save us. We need to write that damn permission slip ourselves. A decade ago, I was in this space where I told myself I should just be grateful, even though I was miserably unhappy. And don't get me wrong, there were definitely parts of my life that I was super grateful for. And after some serious introspection and personal growth work, I decided I get one shot at life. And I'm not going to spend it pretending that I'm happy for myself. And also, what was I modeling for my kids, right? That moms have to suck it up and suffer in silence. So I've shaken up my life in some pretty huge ways in the past 10 years. And don't get me wrong, it scared the bejesus out of me. But my desire to make the most out of my life was greater than my fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of disappointing people, the fear of what are people going to say, the fear of can I really do this thing I want, right? And the list goes on. But my hunger for a life that turns me the fuck on was greater than my fear.
I'm just going to jump in because, I mean, I just find this, I've heard bits and pieces of your journey throughout the years, but I always am just stopped in my tracks by the idea that you have kind of paved the way And I love that you're turning that into something that you give to your clients and give to our listeners in terms of like feeling all the feelings and being honest about it and saying how terrifying it was, but that you did it anyway. And this is what it could look like on the other side. Like, I just feel like that's a really generous thing for you to do. And yeah, it's a gift. So thank you for continuing to do that.
Well, thank you. Are you trying to make me cry?
No, that comes later in the episode.
Oh, I just appreciate that so much. I'm just trying to keep it as real as possible. And I mean, I guess that is why I do what I do, because I want to leave the trail for women to follow, for other women, because I don't want any woman to feel like she has to settle. If she has a hunger in her heart for something, and she doesn't have to blow up her life, she doesn't have to change her partner, she doesn't have to change her job. But if there's something that she knows could make her happier, let's fucking do it.
Amen.
And honestly, you know, this is how you become the best, most empowered and inspired version of yourself, by doing the things that scare you, the ones that you know deep down will make you happy, right? And actually, research from the Journal of Women in Aging indicates that women who embrace change during midlife often report higher satisfaction in their lives. And I'd even say not only just embrace change, but make change, right? It's not, I don't want us to think of this as some passive thing. It's like, no, you have to fucking make the change happen. Think of how women like Julia Child, Vera Wang, and Toni Morrison, the Pulitzer and Nobel Prize winning author, didn't hit their stride until midlife, right? We can take so much inspiration from these women and stories like these, but also there are regular women like you and me, Lisa, who every day, whoop, whoop, decide that we want something more in life. Not that what we already have isn't great, but you know, sometimes we get these whispers from our intuition, right? And then we start listening. So what does that look like? Some women start a business. Some women start making art again. Maybe they become a Taekwondo instructor. Maybe they rent their house out and travel the country in an RV. Right? These are the women who really embrace the midlife reclamation. And I want that for all women.
Yep. Amen. So let's talk a little bit about midlife health for a second. So as we enter midlife, our health becomes paramount. The Mayo Clinic reported that women in their 40s and beyond should prioritize physical activity, nutrition, and mental health. Another nugget from our fabulous research department. So this is the time to explore new fitness routines such as yoga or Pilates. I actually have a girlfriend that post 40 decided to bail on her career and open a Pilates studio. And it's doing amazingly well right now, which is so inspiring.
That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely. So those are some things that could boost both physical and mental health well-being. So sometimes we tend to put our diet and our exercise on the back burner. I know I'm always guilty of that, especially with exercise, but it's important to prioritize our health as we head into and through midlife. It's never too late to start prioritizing ourselves. I know I'm always like, I take a yoga class or whatever. I'm always like, oh, I feel so much better. Right. And I it's like, I just have this, I don't know what it is. Like my body.
Why don't
just
I do
goes,
this more?
Well, and for me, it's like I just hunker down. You know, like, sure, I can work 4 hours straight without a break. That seems like a great idea. My body loves that, right? Like my chiropractor's always like, and sitting on your bed working for 5 hours straight without moving in crisscross applesauce, you do realize that's like the worst possible thing you can do. And I'm like, yeah, okay, go to yoga. And wow, miracle, I feel so much
How
better.
do your legs even move after that? I
Well,
cannot. Crisscross applesauce wrecks me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I do a lot of like, the ex dancer in me, but still, it's crap. I shouldn't do it. My name is Lisa Corachella McDowell, and I'm not just a healthy smoothie girl. Check out nextlevellifewithlisa.com, my website and centerpiece for all that I do. Connect with me about my free classes, the fabulous health and wellness products I have, literacy work, special education advocacy, and social media. I try to live my truth and put it all out there authentically. And for a special offer, go to nextlevellifewithlisa.com/podcast for some exclusive goodies for my Drinks with the Girls listeners. See you there. At any rate, yes, all the things.
Well, that is so true, because if we're not healthy and mobile and strong, right, we're not going to be able to reclaim anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to the next point. A pivotal part of the midlife reclamation is rediscovering what you love. Research from the University of California suggests that engaging in hobbies can improve mental health and increase life satisfaction. And I see this in real time with my 84-year-old dad. I don't know how he does it, but he still golfs. And the days he golfs is, he's on cloud nine. And then the days he doesn't, which is more than he does, he is just in a hole. And so I see this, and I think it's important that we keep doing things that we love.
Yep. Samesies with the dad. Y'all get to experience this live and in person with an upcoming episode. So stay tuned for that. Those shenanigans.
Oh gosh, I'm a little nervous. But we as women, we often bury our own passions, our hobbies, the things that we love as we go through life. We're climbing the corporate ladder, we're filling our bank account. Some of us are raising families, we're checking all the boxes, fulfilling these roles. And so it's common to forget about these things. It's common to forget about who we are, honestly. And I just want to say, I think we need to pause and acknowledge that this desire for midlife reclamation, or to quote unquote, live your best life now or at any age, is really a first world problem.
Truth.
Being able to change your life to bring more happiness and joy is a luxury that not everyone is afforded. And we understand there are marginalized communities who may not have the privilege to create their best life right now because they're struggling to pay rent or find childcare or get affordable health insurance or even simply feel safe at work.
I think just even simply feel safe, period.
True. I do believe a fulfilled life is available to anyone, but it's harder for our marginalized communities who don't have access to the same opportunities and resources. And we here at Drinks with the Girls do not take this privilege lightly.
Agreed. When you are just trying to survive, 100% of your energy is devoted to that. And the fact that we are even able to have this conversation is a privilege for sure. But I also see and hear women who have come through the other side of a lot of shizzle decide to draw a line in the sand and say no more and start making some decisions to put themselves first. I have an amazing cousin who I love dearly. Shout out Teresa if you're listening. That's been through more than her fair share. Difficult first marriage, some with autism, daughter that fought heroin and fentanyl addiction, and has thankfully and mercifully come out the other side with a beautiful baby girl to show for it. My aunt and uncle, her parents, passed within hours of each other from COVID early on in the pandemic at the same hospital, like maybe yards away from each other. It was intense. And she's had to deal with their estate and massive difficulties with one of her siblings. And she's so over living the LA craziness. She wants to sell her place there and come live up here in Oregon where I live. And I'm not going to lie. And I've told her this, I am so excited about having her close and so excited for her to reclaim her life after everything she's been through. I mean, to me, like if that isn't midlife reclamation, I don't know what the heck is.
I love that story. Stories like that give me goosebumps and are such a reminder that we women are freaking warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I have some women in my life who have overcome similar difficult situations, always amazed at how they handle all that life continues to throw at them. Right. And then here's the goosebump part for me is when that moment comes, usually when the storm subsides a bit and they can finally come up for air, this is where they really decide, I am worthy of a freaking life that feels good. I am worthy of more than the freaking struggle bus.
Hear, hear.
Right. And from what I've seen, this is the drive that gives them the ability to change their lives. They're tired of being in survival mode. And it's like that light goes on and they say, why the fork, not me? Why can't I live my best freaking life? And then they make it happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I would say another super important part of the midlife reclamation is to strengthen relationships, right? Relationships are key to our happiness, especially during midlife. And as we get older, the National Institute on Aging emphasizes that strong social connections can lead to longer, healthier lives. We've talked about that before. I believe that was on our friendship episode, like episode number 2. So let's talk a little bit about how women can strengthen their partnership, their friendships, their familial ties. This is literally one of the core principles, reasons, whatever you want to say, as to why we created Drinks with the Girls. And it was to give women connection and conversation around what matters to us at this stage in life. We have been hearing from some of you about that, and our vision is so much bigger because of that than where we are now. We are in 9 countries, y'all. It's so exciting, and we are not stopping there.
Totally. Our motto is no woman left behind.
Whoop! So, in terms of strengthening friendships and relationships, one of the things that we've done that's a really concrete thing that y'all can take advantage of is we did a 30-day friendship challenge. And it's 30 days of ways to strengthen the relationships that you have and our suggestions for that. And I will post the link to that in the show notes, which is a really great way to do that. But of course, we have Super Coach here. And so I'm going to put it to her to talk to us a little about some ways that we can strengthen friendships and relationships.
Well, I mean, I think we all know how to like make friends and what's important in keeping friends, right? And our partnership with if we have, a spouse, a partner, a relationship, right? But the important thing is, I think by the time we get to this age, we are on freaking autopilot, right? And we have to take action. Like we have to do things to actively keep the relationships going, whether it's a friendship or a partnership, a marriage, right? And so like with friendships, like I moved away from all my friends, and there are people that actively, that text me regularly, that call me regularly, right? And so that's how we kind of keep that going. When I think about somebody, I'll just shoot them a little text or maybe like a funny meme or something, just to keep those lines open and make time. Like you have to do things, get out of your comfort zone. I know it's easier to lay in your sweatpants and watch Netflix, but
And that's a problem because
and no shame in that. I mean,
asking for
my
a friend.
favorite things to do. But I mean, I do. I just think, and especially, I just had something major happen with one of my best friends and rocked her world and rocked my world. And so I just think when those things happen, you want to have those relationships to lean on, and you have to nurture them, and sure, you have friends that you can go lots of time with without talking to them. And then you can pick right back up, where you leave off. But I just think you have to be deliberate about keeping our friendships going. Same thing with our partnership. You have to do things to spice it up, especially if you've been together a long time. Like do something to spice up your sex life. Go out to a nice dinner once a month. You have to make it a priority or else it'll just get shoved under the rug.
I love all these ideas. And to me, what the takeaway is from them is the idea that we have to be intentional and purposeful and to be honest, just set goals, right? That reignite our sense of purpose. And there are studies from the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine that show that goal setting can lead to greater emotional well-being, whether it's starting a new career, writing a book, traveling to a dream destination. We have the power to chart our course. Just as Ellen DeGeneres reinvented her career post-40, we too can pursue our new dreams with vigor. But I have to say, more than Ellen DeGeneres' expertise, once again, I volley to Coach Karen about the psychology behind goal setting as well. I know lots of women, including myself, have struggled with goal setting. And I know for me at least, and I think others too, there's this idea that if we set a goal and we don't reach it, it's like we failed twice. I totally get that in my head, which is stupid, I know. So I'm sure you have some pearls of wisdom for our listeners on this topic.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers, like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers. Well, I'll see what I can find. But I love this question so much, and I could talk for days. We could have a whole episode talking about setting and reaching goals. So fabulous listeners, reach out and let us know if this is something that would be helpful for you. We could have a goal setting session. But, as we lean into this idea of the midlife reclamation, right? We try to get to know ourselves again. The important piece is taking action, because dreaming and wishing is fun. But if we want truly step into that next best version of ourselves and our lives, we have to make some moves. And setting new goals can reignite our sense of purpose. So basically, setting goals can affect our behavior, motivation, and even how we feel about ourselves. To your point, Lisa, when we set a goal and don't reach it, we feel like a failure. And that sucks. And
Yeah.
then if we don't do a shit ton of mindset work around that, it'll keep us from setting goals in the future. And then we even start to develop a story in our mind that says something like, oh, I never reach my goals, so I'm just not going to set any. And this fear of failure and self-doubt keeps women stuck. So more about that in a minute. Basic construct of goal setting involves getting clear on what you really want, making sure it's reachable. We can't do some pie in the sky goal setting here. And then planning and organizing your plan of action to reach it. It needs to be this detailed because if we just throw out a random goal and we don't have a plan, we're never going to get what we want. Goals give us the motivation to create that change that we want to see in our lives.
And I love that. And stay tuned for a goal setting episode because I think we just manifested that shit, as my teammates and I would say at work. So, but I also think we need to address the elephant in the room, the aging elephant in the room. And this idea of the fear of being too old to start anew can be paralyzing. Research from the University of Pennsylvania that our Drinks with the Girls research department dug up, of course, suggests that reframing our mindset can help us overcome these barriers. So Viola Davis is one of my favorite actresses. I know she has spoken about embracing her imperfections and overcoming challenges, and her journey teaches us to own our stories and embrace who we are, flaws and all. I think a lot of times women have this idea that they will wait until things slow down, are better, they lose weight, the kids are out of the house, they get the promotion at work, whatever, right? And life just keeps ticking by. And unfortunately, I've learned the hard way that most of the time, no one is going to hand you that golden opportunity at the exact moment you think it will come. And I cannot remember who says this, but this is one I live by, is fortune. Not only does fortune favor the brave, but fortune favors the prepared, right? And just wishing and hoping, like we've said, ain't going to make it so.
Definitely not. And I love Viola Davis. I follow on her on Instagram and she just inspires me all the time. And let's just address the I will do it when ... issue, right? Not to be a Debbie Downer, but no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We are literally one phone call away from a different life and not in a good way. So stop waiting. I mean, I'm sure our moms thought they had time.
100%.
I think something else that keeps women from really embracing the whole idea of a midlife reclamation and getting out of their comfort zone and charting a new course is they think they have to start from scratch, totally dismissing all the incredible things that they've already done in life, forgetting about the hard things they've done, the strength and the knowledge they've built over the years. Like no one gets to midlife unscathed.
Hello.
We tend to forget all those trials and tribulations that have made us freaking badass. And women forget to lean on this wisdom and experience when they are in midlife and trying to make a change.
Yeah, they kind of discount it. I mean, I picture you like, when your kids were launched and going back in the workforce going like, but what's transferable? Like what of my skills are transferable? Like I've done this. And we kind of equivocate us down to nothing, right? And again, women can feel isolated. They can feel like they're the only ones. See previous comments about the podcast and why we started it. But again, not to beat a dead horse, but one of the reasons we developed the show in the podcast medium is that it's especially good for reaching people in unique ways.
I would have loved to have had our podcast when I was going through this time in my life, when I was launching my kids, trying to go back into the traditional workforce because I felt so alone. Come to find out, after you've been out of the traditional workforce for almost 20 years, it's not easy to just slide back in.
Hello.
And I just talk about self-doubt on steroids. This was just a really challenging time for me. And, I see this all the time also with my clients, and they are so surprised and relieved when I tell them that they are definitely not alone. Nothing is wrong with them. And it's okay to want to make a change. It's okay to want a life that makes them happy. I literally help them write a permission slip for themselves to create their next chapter in a way that makes them want to jump out of bed in the morning to start their day. Because why the hell not?
100%.
Hey, fabulous Drinks with the Girls listeners. Guess what? We have something exciting happening here at Drinks with the Girls. We have a way for you, our listeners, to be involved. We would love you to be a part of our Drinks with the Girls support team. Creating a sisterhood of empowered women is our goal, and we are so grateful you are here. But we need your help to grow this incredible community that we have a big and bountiful vision for.
You can help us get the word out about Drinks with the Girls because we want all women to feel the support of our powerful community behind them. Here's what you need to do. Go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe or follow Drinks with the Girls if you haven't already. We need you to share every episode we put out.
We would love for you to do this, especially when a particular episode resonates with you and or brings to mind someone you care about that you think would benefit from listening to it. Share with a girlfriend via text, share to your email newsletter, share on your socials, share from the rooftop. Every share is a chance for all women around the world to feel connected and supported by our Drinks with the Girls sisterhood.
The other thing you can do is officially join our Pod Squad email list. That will help you in two ways. First off, every time a new episode drops, you'll get an email with info on the topic, so it reminds you to tune in and listen with an easy-to-follow link. But it's also an easy format to hit forward on and share with some of your favorite people so they can easily access the newest episode. That link is always included in our show notes for you.
We are so excited to have you as part of the Drinks with the Girls Pod Squad support team. We are all in this together. Cheers!
Cheers!
This has been such a juicy conversation. I could talk about it for hours, but as we wrap up, here are some key points to consider. It's normal to get to midlife and not recognize yourself. It's okay to want something to change, to want something more or something better.
Agreed. Another thing is after years and decades of prioritizing everyone else and focusing on other people's goals, it's okay to focus on you. I have to check this with myself all the dang time because those messages are so pervasive and I can just feel them like seeping into my headspace. And I have to literally sit myself down and be like, okay, this is all right. You are not selfish. You are not self-absorbed. Like, it's okay to do that. But I find I literally have to like say these words over myself because I get caught in that loop so easily, right? You are not selfish. You're not wrong to want to prioritize your desires.
And this is why affirmations are so important.
I know. I'm so bad at those. I need to get better.
Because we have to rewire those messages that we were raised with. And that's that's one of the ways you do it. And I think especially for women who raise children, it's even more so because as you go through the mothering fest, you are constantly sacrificing your needs for the needs of the little people, right? And in the beginning, of course, we need to. They're helpless. We have to. But it's hard to kind of unhook from that as they get older. And like for me, in my case, my purpose as a stay-home mom was so wrapped up in mothering them that I had a whole like identity shift, right? And I was aware of it and I did things about it, but it's definitely not an easy time.
So I will say one thing I am proud of myself about, like as I throw myself under the bus and kick myself under the bus at the same time in one statement with the affirmations. So I told you guys, my husband and I went to this concert last night, right, and had a blast. And it was actually really cool because on the way back, we had a conversation just about kind of the things that I wanted out of life and goals that I've set for myself and just like frustration that I haven't gotten there yet. And we just talked about it. And he's like, so what do you need to do? And I said, I need to get better about doing my affirmations every morning. Karen knows this. I'm like the world's most difficult person to get to journal regularly, and she fought a mighty battle and I'm still trying to do it. But, so there's things that I can do like that. Like, hey, newsflash, set the alarm a little earlier and get your out of bed earlier to do that and make it the first thing. Because for me, what happens is the day takes off before I even have 5 seconds. And then it's like, as I said today, it's noon and where's my journal? Oh, that's right. It's packed in the suitcase in the back of the car. Not helpful. But we decided we were going to make it a priority to come up with some affirmations that we could do together in the morning, and affirmations more about like the goals that we want as a couple and for our family. And, I'm sure it'll take some time and some practice to like get into that, but it helped me a lot because I was like, that's part of my problem is that I feel like I do this in an echo chamber. Right. And it's like, it's all about like me hauling us over the finish line, and not that he won't help. Right. But I got to let him in to do that. So I'm sure there'll be some bumps in the road, but I'm super excited about that conversation that we had, and everybody can like hold me accountable and and email and be like, so are you doing that? Or did you just peace out and take the extra half hour of sleep. So there you go.
I think that is beautiful. Honestly, doing work like that together is, talk about, building your relationships like we talked about earlier. Like that's an amazing thing. You guys have a common goal, your relationship, your love, how you want to, show up for each other and with each other. And that's incredible. And so I'm going to ask you about that. I am going to hold you accountable.
Thank you. Thank you. Because that's the other thing we were talking about is just like I, a fully aware of my own fuckery as it is, right? That the very fact of hitting the snooze alarm saying, no, it's fine. And then it's noon and I haven't done my journaling like that, I know Karen doesn't mind when I get all woo-woo, but that is setting the wrong intention to the universe, man. That is like putting the wrong energy out there, right? Because if it's easy to delay that and it's easy to deprioritize that, then it's not exactly screaming to the universe, no, I want this. I want to set my intention. And again, I'm going to go back to this concert. It was great that we went. There were just so many good conversations that came out of it, but one of their songs is called Tomorrow, and it talks about this idea that if you aren't where you want to be, right, there's always tomorrow. And just because it didn't happen today doesn't mean it's not going to happen tomorrow. But the line is, you can't catch more love with an empty, no, I'm going to screw this up. Oh, you can't catch as much love, I think, or more love with a narrow cup. And I was like, okay, truth bomb. Right? Like, how am I expecting to catch more if the cup that I'm using for it to come in is shrinking by the day? Like, it doesn't work that way.
Oh my gosh, I have so many things to say right now.
She's like, maybe we won't wrap this episode up. Maybe we'll go for like another 20. So many things. Please,
but I won't say them all. But I will say, with the journaling and things like that, you have to cut yourself some slack. The universe knows what you want. And if you're not writing, it's like we did when we were in second grade and we did something wrong 10 times over, I will not talk in class. You don't have to write, your intention over and over. The universe knows what you want. Even if you're thinking about it or visioning what it's going to look like when you receive it, that's enough. And journaling is just,
I just have to say, because I'm outing myself here, because again, trying to make sure that I'm like held accountable. This is the woman that called her coach and was like, I have 3 pages back to front of what I'm trying to write in my journal every day. And I'm just finding I can't prioritize that. Isn't that funny? And Karen, God bless her, was like, that's insane. And you need to rethink that. And I had to check myself because it was like, why am I doing that? Why do I feel the need to write 3 pages back to front? And the hard answer that came to me was because I don't freaking trust the I'm going to get emotional. Like, I don't trust that the universe is going to provide that for me, right? I'm sorry, you guys, but I did promise I was going to show up authentically, right? And that was something I really needed to hear, because if that's the case, then that's what I'm putting out there, and that needs to change. And that kind of, it's really made me think about this. Anyways, sorry, squirrel.
Well, and let's just be clear. I did not tell you that you were insane.
She said it in a nice, positive, supportive way. And that was the message that I twisted and warped emotionally to myself, which probably isn't good. But it was more something like, you may want to rethink that, because if that's keeping you from doing it every day, it's not serving the purpose. She's never harsh. She's always really good. Just to be clear.
Well, I mean, sometimes I'm harsh. Come on, but I will never tell you you're insane. I just wanted you to see that, maybe having this white knuckle grip
totally
on the things you're trying to bring to your life is not maybe the best way, right? So I'm just so proud of you for talking about that.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah. So where
were we?
Where were we? There honestly was something else I wanted to say.
You were talking about this idea of journaling, but the idea of the kind of accidental activity and journey my husband and I have embarked on in terms of setting intentions as a couple and holding myself accountable. But I may have spoiled the moment by interrupting you and going off on a tangent.
One of the things too that this little side conversation brings up for me is the accountability piece. And honestly, I think that is one of the things, we're talking about setting and reaching goals earlier. That's something that you can Google how to reach a goal, and they talk about SMART goals and all that, but they don't always talk about the accountability piece. It's like if you're trying to gain more muscle and you're going to the gym, you're going to get quicker results, and it's going to be way easier if you hire a trainer, right? Somebody to keep you freaking accountable. Yeah. I mean, we could do it on our own for sure, but are we going to get the results we want? Maybe, maybe not. And it's the same with other goals. So I just think that accountability piece, even if it's like a friend or somebody, like just having a conversation, hey, I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to make this little change or this big change. Can you just check in with me once a week and just help me? Because when somebody's going to be asking and checking, likelihood that you're going to do it is greater.
And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I 100% believe in accountability, but also the little voice that goes off in my head. I don't know if any of you all have this voice, but it's accountability. Like, we're going to catch you out doing something bad. We're going to punish you if you aren't doing it, right? And that's kind of the message in the back of my head. And, that's a reframe I need to have. It's not accountability like we're trying to catch you out, like you're some naughty school kid. It's reminding ourselves who the fuck we are and giving us support to do that. And I am sure guilty of framing that in a negative light. So I don't know if anybody else out there does that. Please tell us if you do. So I'm not left standing here on a podcast saying I'm the only person in the universe that does that.
I don't think you're alone at all in that word, because that word accountability, I mean, it's just very cold and hard, right? So I think we need to, first of all, figure out why you're so activated by that word, but also
imagine that,
reframe it and replace it with something else. And I think the important piece about accountability, at least with the work I do, it's not to catch you when you're not doing it wrong, right? Or excuse me, not to catch you when you're not doing it, but it's to celebrate when you are. Like that whole celebration piece also, when we're trying to reach goals, is huge. And not just celebrating when we get the thing at the end, but celebrating each little step along the way that gets us to the end. And you know what? Maybe the end is going to be totally different than what we first set out to get. But I think celebrating each little piece along the way keeps your motivation high and makes it more likely that you are going to reach those goals.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you've said this to me before. It takes some time, right? It takes some time, and you have to give yourself that time.
A lot of time, actually.
Don't say that.
I know. And people don't like to hear that, but it's, we've had these same messages in our brains for decades, right? And so making change involves all of us, and including those messages, and rewriting them takes time, and lasting change takes time. I think it's important to give ourselves that time, the time to reconnect with ourselves and really decide what do I want my midlife reclamation to look like, right? So give yourself that time, guilt-free.
Mm-hmm. She's giving me evils right now, just in case anybody wants to know.
Reconnect with what you like, what you desire, what lights you up. Journal, meditate, do personal growth exercises to prime the pump. And actually, I have created a free midlife reclamation guide for anyone who needs a little jumpstart to get clear on how they want their next chapter to look. Because I know it's a daunting process. Where do I start? What do I do? What do I even want? So in this guide, you'll find daily practices and action steps to help you reconnect with yourself, recognize anything that's in your way, and decide who the next you will be. Because I want all women to look at this time in life with excitement. Not that there's anything wrong with who you are, but to build on that and to step into the next most empowered and turned on version of yourself. So if you're curious about the guide, we will link it in the show notes, and it's free.
Yay, free. Yay, free.
We love free.
So I've been kind of doing this on this episode with unbidden, shocker, I know, but this idea of getting out of your comfort zone, right? I mean, I just talked about this, right? We promised ourselves when we did this podcast that we were going to show up. And even if it was out of our comfort zone, we were going to be authentic, right? And it doesn't have to be freaking start a podcast and tear up. Hello, I get that, right? Just try something new, right? A class, new food, a new way home from work, right? Start small, build up. The more you get comfortable out of your comfort zone, it's like a muscle, right? You just have to keep flexing it. The more confident and empowered you'll be to make whatever changes you decide you want to do later.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Because nothing good happens inside our comfort zone. Another thing we want you to take away is follow other women in real life and online that inspire you. Surround yourself with inspirational women.
Yeah, I try to link people's Instagrams or whatever whenever we bring those up. So Viola Davis's will be in there. I think we mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis before, who we always try to, when we spot Instagram accounts that we think would provide that, then we put them in the show notes. Embrace your emotions. Kind of like I did tonight. You're going through some midlife shite. It's okay to have feelings about it wherever they are. I didn't die when I just teared up now. Everything is fine. Okay. It's okay to get support if you're struggling with your well-being in midlife. It's our time to thrive, sisters.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's also important to visualize how you want your next chapter to look. What are your goals? What are your habits and practices? Like, are those habits and practices in line with the goal that you want? Make sure you prioritize your pleasure, your self-indulgence, your self-care. Decide what areas in life you might want a shift. Come up with a journal practice. I sense a theme here. And some midlife mantras. And always, always celebrate. My midlife reclamation guide can help with all of these.
I'm so excited to see that. So I think we're ready to wrap up. Finally, not the just kidding version, but like the real version. We want you to remember that midlife is not an end, but a beginning. And it's an opportunity to reclaim your life, embrace change, pursue your passions with renewed energy.
You have the power to write the next chapter of your life. So let us know if anything resonated with you, what you want more of. We love hearing from you, our listeners, and I hope you join us next week. Until then, keep shining and reconnecting with your beautiful, badass self.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, share this episode. We want to expand to multiple countries, not just 9. So share this episode with your friends. Let's support each other and grow this incredible community on this incredible journey. I'm going to say cheers. Cheers.